Well, folks, I've got Trevor Loudon here, and of course, we all know Trevor. Well, most of you would know Trevor. He is the author of the book that exposed and unmasked our communist prime minister. I have no problem calling him a communist. Proof, proof he is a communist. And of course, the other communist with lipstick on, Penny Wong. And Trevor, in his book, Comrade Prime Minister, if you have not read that book, you must read it. I want to talk to him today about Albanese's decision to recognize Palestine. And I want you to understand something, folks. What they want is Jerusalem. They don't care about Gaza. And I'm just some of the people that Albanese's been in contact with. Trevor, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate your time.
Oh, always a pleasure, Pat, and a big shout out to my friends in Australia.
So, Trevor, Albo Sleazy says the other day, when asked about, have you gone and spoken to Donald Trump about your decision to recognise Palestine? He says, oh, no, Australia, we're a sovereign nation. But at the same time, his list of influences is like the Eurovision Song Contest. He's gone to Macron. He's gone to the British Prime Minister, the New Zealand Prime Minister, everyone but the man who really could protect our nation's interests. What's going on here, Trevor? What's this communist with lipstick doing?
Well, as I said, his whole goal is to take Australia out of the American orbit, out of the Western orbit, into the Chinese orbit. You know, he's had 3 phone calls with Donald Trump since he's been in office, and he spent 6 days in China being feted by the leaders of the Communist Party. That's exactly in line with what I said was going to happen. And now he's taking a pro-communist stance on Israel, knowing that it's going to really, really aggravate Trump, who's trying to bring things to a resolution in that area and trying to protect Israel. You know, Albanese has been anti-Israel his entire career, his entire political career, but it's only now with the especially with the guidance of Penny Wong, who's even more of a communist than him. Now they feel bold enough to actually make the stand that he's wanted to make for 20 years.
So, Trevor, you said something to me off camera, and I want you to explain to everybody out there. He goes to China for 6 days. What prime minister or head of state goes to any country for 6 days? Walks around with the pandas, patting the pandas, and then he comes. Did he get his marching orders over there?
Of course. Look, he is their boy. He is a long-term communist. And as I say, Pat, he's not a socialist or a liberal or a progressive. He is a hardcore communist out of the tradition of the Communist Party of Australia, which has always been pro-China and always been very strongly anti-America. So he was over there for 6 days, meeting his bosses, shaking their hands, asking what they wanted, how he can help. He is actually more a representative of communist China than he is of the Australian people. There is no doubt about that.
Let me ask this question. He started with, we want to recognize Palestinian state, or Hamas, really. And part of his conditions were, we want the hostages released, we want blah, 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 blah. Now that's all out the door. That's all out the door. There is no precondition to his statement. He's just gone in and said, we're going to recognize them. What's going on?
Well, it's because he is waiting for the courage to do so, because, you know, Penny Wong has been criticizing Israel for ever since October 7th or before that. And so now that Macron, who is a leftist, and Keir Starmer, who's an old communist, are doing it, he feels emboldened. You know, other people are doing it now. I don't want to be the first. I don't want to be the outlier. I don't want to give the game away too much. But now we can say, well, Keir Starmer's doing it, Macron's doing it, other people are doing it. Well, you know, this is what we need to do to stop the genocide, etc. This is the kind of terminology he'll use. But this is what he's always wanted to do. He was doing this back in the early 2010s in Sydney. He was wanting to go pro-Palestine, but it just was too difficult then. You know, there's a big Jewish constituency in Sydney, big Jewish constituency in Melbourne. Now the Muslim constituencies are bigger than the Jewish constituencies. And as we saw with the big surround of the cathedral in Melbourne recently, the big protest there, you know, he is much more willing to kowtow to the Muslim Australians than he is to the Jewish Australians, much more so because he sympathizes with their communist cause.
Well, you've got Tony Burker, you've got Jason Clare in Bankstown. What a grub he is. Absolute lowlife. This is Bankstown, where I grew up, by the way, all Paul Keating territory, where these two nurses made all kinds of threats that they would kill Jews.
Yeah.
This is in Jason Clare's. Where the hell is Jason Clare? You know, he's flying Palestinian flags. You know, I'm here in Italy. They fly one flag. We've got about 54 in Australia. But here's what's just come out. Albanese, and I want everyone to hear this, Albanese made a phone call to Mohammed Abbas. I know you know who Abbas is, the leader of the PLO. This guy says that he's going to make sure that Hamas won't have anything to do with Gaza. Now, this guy, number one, indoctrinated children's schools. He had a pay-for-slay philosophy. In other words, pay you to kill Jews. And on top of that, was involved in child indoctrination. And on top of that, he's got no leverage over Gaza. How the hell is this guy going to control Hamas? Or is that just smoke and mirrors, Trevor?
Well, I think he will prevail on the Russians to help him out with that. But Hamas is basically largely a tool of the Russians and the Iranians. And so the problem here is the PLO, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which was set up by the Soviet Union and guided by the KGB agent Yasser Arafat for years, had representatives in Australia, Ali Kazak, in the 1980s, who had very close relations with the Search Foundation, the Communist Party of Australia, and the Search Foundation, the same people that sponsored Albanese through his entire career. The Search Foundation, I said, you know, the Search Foundation superseded the Communist Party. It's a new name for the Communist Party.
Right.
And they have guided Albanese's entire career. Well, they just issued a statement yesterday. Great to see Albanese recognizing Palestine. Thanks to everybody who was involved in this campaign. Great work. Now we've got to go forward. So the Search Foundation, he is following the lead of the Search Foundation, a communist organization which has deep ties to the PLO going back 40 years now.
Now, where was that quote from? Where was that from, Trevor? Could you send me that? If I get time off my team to put it in there, in the link.
First email. Just go to the Search Foundation Facebook page. It's about the third article down. It's got a thing about Albanese. Then it's got a little thing underneath. Search Foundation, great work, everybody. Thanks to everybody who was involved in this effort. Now we go on to the next steps. It's on the Search Foundation Facebook page right now.
And they're saying, listen, Australia, listen, everybody. They're saying this is the new reformed or rebranded Communist Party saying, thanks to all involved.
Yes. Exactly.
See,
so what they've got, the Search Foundation runs a whole bunch of fronts inside the Labor Party. One of them is Labour Friends of Palestine, run by Search Foundation members like Marcus Strom and others. And they have been going around Labour Party branches all over the country, getting them to adopt pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli resolutions for the last 2 years now. Wow. And so now they've flipped a whole bunch of Labour Party branches, which is now Albanese can say, well, the Labour Party is behind this, because the Search Foundation organised it through Labour Friends of Palestine, their front group, controlled by Search Foundation people. And so now Albanese's got this is Labour Party policy. This is what the Labour Party wants. No, it's not what the Labour Party wants. It's what the Search Foundation wants. And they are the new communists in Australia right now.
So is that why the first call he makes, or one of them, is to the former leader, well, the current leader of the PLO?
Yeah.
Who's got associations with Russia?
Look, the PLO is a communist organization, a
Correct.
pro-Soviet organization, 100%. And it still is affiliated with all of the old international communist fronts, like the
Mm,
World Federation of Democratic Youth and the World Federation of Trade Unions. All these old communist fronts are still existing. And the
wow.
PLO is part of this. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, which is their affiliate, is an openly Marxist-Leninist organization.
Mm,
Hamas was created by the communists as well. These are not indigenous rebellious forces generated by the Palestinians. These are communist forces imposed upon the Palestinian people, and they rule them with an iron hand, like the mafia would rule Little Italy or something, or
mm,
a criminal gang would rule an area, and they
yeah.
control the flow of food. They'll kill you if you disobey them. You're dealing with a Hamas mafia, and but Albanese's on this.
I can tell you something about the mafia in Australia. Now, I need you all to hear this, and you need to hear this loud and clear. They're not letting Islam take over. They're not allowed in southern Italy. Just so that everyone knows that. I've been here. I've been here nearly 3 months. I've talked to the people. They don't control the south. Sadly, up north, they're running riot like they are in Germany and London and everywhere else. But these people fear a strong hand. And sadly, we don't have a strong hand in Albanese. Anyway, I digress. But
Yeah,
at least one thing about the mafia, it's kept them out of the southern parts of Italy. And I'll tell you right now, they would not dare. They would not dare. I'm just saying that. I've got to get my blood pressure up here, Trevor. But
no, I fully get your point, and they're very nationalistic people. But the point I'm getting at is the Hamas is a gangster regime.
Absolutely, they are a gangster regime.
Gangster regime, and this is Albanese's people. He
So,
is of that ilk.
how much of this is not peace? How much of this is domestic politics and control?
Well, you mean talk about Australian domestic politics or
Yeah.
Israeli?
How much is this Albanese playing to domestic politics to appease the 10%, 12% of invasionists that we have in our country?
Well, it's very much that, because, as I say, the Search Foundation, which is the new name for the Communist Party, controls Labour Left.
Yeah.
Labour Left is where you get Labour Friends of Palestine and other organisations. These are the front groups that operate inside the Labour Left and dictate Labour Party policy. So he fears them. Well, he fears them, but he is them.
He is them.
That's his people. For the first time in Australian history, the Labor now dominates the Australian Labor Party. It's always been a fight between right and left, and usually the right has been dominant. Now, since 2019, the left has been dominant. It's actually dominant in the caucus now. It's dominant in the executive. So the Communist Party now controls the ALP. So therefore, Albanese is very gladly going to accommodate the communist program regarding Israel. The communists hate Israel with a passion. It's their big impediment to full conquest of the Middle East.
Trevor, only a few days ago, and I'm reading straight out of a newspaper here, it says, only a few days ago, the Prime Minister set clear conditions for recognising a Palestinian state, renouncing violence, freeing hostages, establishing credible and accountable governance. He emphasised that these steps were necessary before recognition could occur. Today, he's dumped all that.
Yeah, well, he said that he'll go as far as he thinks conditions permit. The fact that Keir Starmer has made commitments, Macron and a few others have made commitments, he's not the only one now. So he can do what he always wanted to do. He loves Hamas. He loves the communists who are fighting Israel. That's his people. So he's pushing as far and fast as he can, and he's thrown caution to the wind now, because this is he's showing his real colors now. And he thinks he's confident that he can get away with it.
Trevor, do you see this ending well or for Australia?
No, I don't. For a whole bunch of reasons. It's a communist takeover. Now, look, I've said, look, people say, well, look, we're going to vote them out again in 3 years' time. Not a big deal. Well, how many more third world immigrants are going to be in Australia in 3 years' time? How many did he bring in last time? A million and a half? Well, it was close to a million.
Crazy.
All of whom will be Labor voters. How many more young people straight out of high school are now going to be voting at that time? It's going to be, if you couldn't vote them out in the last election, it's going to be even harder next time, because he's going to rig everything that you possibly can. Plus, you're going to have the voice referendum coming back, which will take power away from the Australian Parliament. So you're in a communist revolution in Australia. You've got to understand that. And so this foreign policy stuff is very damaging. It's going to put you offside with the United States, which is exactly what Albanese wants. He wants Trump to go ballistic, and then Albanese can stand up and be the big, strong, I'm for Australia, we're an independent foreign, country. He can play that card, which will rally a lot of the young people who don't really see through his game. So, it's not going to end well. It's putting a huge pressure on Israel, which is the only point of stability in the entire Middle East. People think if Israel goes away, we get peace in the Middle East. You get World War III. You get absolute chaos. It's the only country holding things together right now. If you think things are bad now, it's only going to be worse if you have a two-state solution and Israel is fighting continuous war.
Well, Hamas don't want a two-state solution. They want the destruction of Israel. And Albanese said today,
two states is a step to that.
But the thing is, Albanese, what he's done, he says, oh no, well, Hamas want a one-state solution. They want the destruction of Israel. So that's where he's hiding behind this now, going, no, I'm two-state. What he's done is just given them the one step to get closer to the annihilating Israel.
That's right. He's the moderate now, because he only wants a two-state solution, whereas Hamas wants a complete destruction of Israel. A two-state solution is the destruction of Israel. Correct. Because you're going to have an enemy state right on Israel's borders, supplied by Iran, supplied by all sorts of Arab states, right on Israel's borders. Israel's hard enough to defend now. Two states will make it almost impossible. So yes, but it allows Albanese to be the moderate. Look, these bad people want to kill 100% of your population, but I only want to kill 50% of your population.
That's right.
I'm the moderate. I'm the moderate now.
Trevor, last question, because I know you're a busy guy. And folks, if you have not got the book, Comrade Prime Minister, do you have a copy there, Trevor, somewhere that you can show?
Yeah.
Don't have it. Listen, everybody go out and buy this book, Comrade Prime Minister, Trevor Loudon. It's on Amazon. Go and get it, folks. It is an eye-opener. It is an eye-opener. Trevor, last question. How much of this is about Jerusalem?
Well, the conquest of Jerusalem is a huge point of significance for the Islamic, for the Islamic faith. Okay, that is a holy city. Then they want to. That would be the end of Judaism, they said, or the end of Israel, the destruction of it. So it's a very symbolic thing. So you've got two factors here. You've got the old Islamic hatred of Jews and the willingness the wanting to take Jerusalem back, and you've got the communist factor that just wants to destroy Israel. Full stop. So they're both working together. But from a Muslim point of view, the conquest of Jerusalem would be amazing. Just like, if somebody came and conquered Mecca or Medina, that would be a huge, huge blow to the Muslim faith. Well, taking Jerusalem has massive symbolic significance for the faith.
I want everyone of you to understand something here. The recognizing of Palestinian state by this despicable government A Palestinian state would likely encompass Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. Just going to bring this close to the camera as much as I can so you can all see that, okay? That's what this means. And if any of you out there think that this is about peace, you're kidding yourselves. I'm so sick and tired of the goody two-shoes out there talking about the starvation in Gaza. You got Hamas to blame for that. You've got Hamas to blame for using their people as shield. The Ayatollah Khomeini said, Iran, and I'm supposed to be in Iran, but we had to cancel, obviously. He said, Iran could be burnt down. He doesn't care as long as Islam rules. This is what this is about. Am I correct, Trevor? This is about the ruling of Islam, with the communists' help, by the way.
Yeah, the communists are using Islam. Islam is using the communists. They both agree that the destruction of Israel is absolutely essential to their conquest of the Middle East and their worldwide conquest, I must say. The destruction of the Jewish state, one of the few enclaves of freedom in the whole Middle East, and a very reliable, I think it was General Flynn said the other day, Israel has provided intelligence that has saved the life of thousands of Americans. Most people don't understand the importance of Israel on the geopolitical scale of things. It's just another little country in the Middle East. No, it's hugely important, a huge contributor to the planet, and it has huge spiritual and moral significance for the West. If we lose Israel, the West is going to be in massive trouble. Massive. Correct. And that's why the communists are pushing it. They want to destroy Israel more than anything else because that paves the way for the destruction of all of us.
Trevor Loudon, it's always great talking to you. We're living in some pretty scary times, my friend. Never thought our country would come to this. And folks, once again, if you haven't got a copy of that book, Comrade Prime Minister, you must get it. Every conservative needs to read this book. It will open your eyes. Trevor, thank you so much for being part of today. And let's keep praying for this great nation.
Indeed. Absolutely. God bless you.
Okay, folks, you've heard that from Trevor. Spread the news. Please share this as far as you can. We need to get the message out. And also, look, we have our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night cash flow to gold. Folks, I'm promoting this because you've got to get your financial freedom. I'm telling you, the communists are coming with brutal force. If you'd like to join us tonight, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, I will be giving away $5,000 in gold and about $30,000 of vacations. Click on the link. It's only on Zoom, not on Facebook. And if you want to win the $5,000 of gold, I'm sure one of you would love to do that. You've got to be part of it. Come for about 2 hours, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Give us 2 hours to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Please keep praying for our nation. God knows we need it. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. God bless you.